Yeah, no, that's really the idea. That's the goal for this series is that it's something that is flexible. You can tuck the 30 minutes into the calendar on a Thursday for a coffee break, and you can drop in and drop out. So if you just drop in for a few minutes, get a little bit of an energizer. There you go. Mom's ready to go with the coffee. Drop in for Jeez. Drop in for a few minutes, get energized, get focused, and then get back to it. That's great. That's fantastic. I don't want it to be homework. It's just a little bit of a recharge.
Sounds good.
Yay! All right. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and invite everybody to just settle in. I know we've got a lot going on. There's a lot on our minds. There's a constant barrage of things to do and stuff coming at us all the time. Our brains can't even process all the data that's coming at us all of the time.
Mhm.
So this is an invitation to just kind of tune in for a moment and then tune out everything else. So let's do a little bit of a tuning out process first. So for me, that might look like I've got, pen and paper, and I'm just going to jot down a couple of notes of things that are in my head right now, like thoughts that are kind of like looping. Like I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to call this person, I have to make sure, perhaps set myself a reminder for something and just park the thought for just a moment so that I can tune that out and then focus on this. So let's just give it a few seconds to see if there's anything that's on your mind, that's on your to-do list, that's going to be kind of nagging at you. This is a great time to park the thought. I love that you're in action. Now that we've tuned out what is external and not relevant right now, we're going to tune in to what's here and now to let us get into our recharge process. So what I'm going to invite you to do is just see if you can settle into your seat wherever you're at right now. And just see if maybe the body is asking for like a little bit of attention or a little bit more comfort. Is there a way we can do a little bit more comfort right now? So that might be maybe if you've been seated for a long time working, it might be standing up for a moment to stretch. If it's like maybe you've been standing a while, it's time to sit or lie back. Can you get a little bit more settled into the seat? Just see maybe a little bit of a rotation for the neck, if the neck's a little bit stiff. Maybe the shoulders are a little bit stiff, so maybe a little bit of a rotation of the shoulders. Just something gentle, maybe like a little bit of a twist with the back to kind of get a little bit more comfortable. Just kind of tuning into the physical body and see what is it asking for right now. We've been, if you're like me, working in my head all day long so far. I've graded assignments, I've taught classes, I've talked to students, and it's all been up in here. So trying to see if we can tune back into the body for a little bit, see what it has to say. So if you're settled into your space, maybe added a little bit more comfort, let's just see if we can like think of the comfort level as a dial. And we're just going to turn the dial just a little bit more up. So just edge up that comfort a little tiny bit more. What does that look like? Does it mean sort of like sitting back a little bit? Does it mean maybe shifting the weight so it's distributed differently? Does it mean straightening the spine or the head? Maybe aligning? Just checking in to see what that feels like. And once we're tuned out the external, tuned into our current state, I'm going to invite you to practice with me a little bit of a mental fitness set of reps. So we're kind of at the gym for the brain right now, the gym for the mind. And I always think if I were to run a marathon tomorrow without having done any sort of training, how far do you think I'd get? And personally, not very far before they would have to send an ambulance to come like helicopter me out of there. So this is the marathon. We're in the marathon of life right now. We're facing a lot of stuff coming at us all of the time. So the way that we practice our mental fitness, it helps us to be more agile and to respond more effectively to whatever's coming our way with that resistance built up. We build it up by going to our training, to our gym. So we're going to be practicing some brain exercises, some mind exercises, which are very simple. And it's really more about focusing our attention. So the goal of the recharge is that when we leave, we'll be a little bit more clear and focused because our focus is all over the place most of the time. There's a lot of competing attention for our focus. And it's this very limited, precious resource. So we're going to practice honing it in on one specific thing at a time. I'm going to call that a positive intelligence rep, or PQ, for positive intelligence quotient. So if you're settled into your position, as comfortable as you can get, giving the body whatever it wants to have that little dial of comfort turned up just a little bit more, then let's go ahead and see if maybe closing the eyes or softening the gaze, whatever feels good to you right now, as you're settled into your space. And let's just start with feeling where the feet are right now. So are the feet on the ground? Are the feet inside shoes? What is in contact with your foot right now? Maybe just focusing on one foot and just seeing what sensation you can detect right now in that foot. Can you feel the weight of the foot on the ground? Can you feel the texture of the ground underneath you or the shoe surrounding the foot? Maybe you feel the ground supporting you. Now maybe shifting your focus to the other foot just to see what it feels like. Does it feel any different than the first foot that you focused on? And if other thoughts kind of drift your way, remember that you parked them and you can come back to them later. But right now you're doing your mental fitness training, and it's okay to come back to your area of focus that you chose as you recharge. So what's that foot feel like inside your shoe, on top of the ground? Maybe feeling what the ankles feel like now. Just seeing if there's anything you notice with your shins. Anything you notice with your knees. Anything you notice with your thighs, your seat, the chair supporting you. Really let that chair do its work for you. Really feel the full support of the chair and the ground underneath you, holding you up. Maybe checking in on the back. Is anything tight or tense or sore? And if it is, just noticing it. Maybe sending a couple of breaths that way. Maybe noticing the shoulders. Are they tight or tense or loose? Noticing the arms, the weight of them hanging down. Noticing the elbows, the hands, the fingers. Maybe back up to notice the shoulders and the neck. Maybe focusing on the head, the weight of the head. Maybe focusing on the nose, just to feel the sensation of the breath coming in and out of the nostrils. What does that feel like? Can you notice any difference in the temperature of the air as it comes in the nostrils on the inhale and then back out on the exhale? And maybe noticing the journey of that breath all the way into the body. So as the chest or the belly rise with the inhale and the chest and the belly fall with the exhale. Just noticing that movement at whatever pace is best for you. You might try putting a hand on your chest or your belly and see if you can feel that sensation of the rising and the falling with the inhale and the exhale. See what you notice there. You might try taking the thumb and the index finger of one hand and just gently rubbing them together with such attention to detail that you can actually notice the texture of the ridges from your fingerprints. How much detail can you note in the texture of both fingertips? Maybe exploring a little bit lower down to where you can feel the edge of the knuckle. A little bit higher, you can feel the edge of the fingernail. The back of the fingernail, perhaps noticing that contrast in texture from the hard, smooth nail to the soft skin. And when you're ready, you might take all the fingers of one hand and just gently run them across the fingers and palm of the opposite hand. Almost as if you were just lightly washing your hands. And really focus on those sensations. How much sensation can you notice with the texture and temperature of the skin, the hands and the fingers? And when you're ready, maybe letting your hands down and focusing on the sounds around you. What is the furthest sound away from you that you can hear right now? And what is the closest sound that you can hear right now? It might be my voice. It might be your breath. And when you're ready, maybe opening the eyes back up if you closed them or bringing them back into focus. And just dropping back in here after your mental fitness workout. You're well on your way to becoming an athlete. How was that? So, what do you notice that stood out to you the most during your scan of the body, of the breath, of the sounds? Just think about what stood out to you the most. What was the easiest thing for you to focus on? Maybe what was the most challenging thing to focus on? Yeah. So perhaps as you're entering the warm up for your workout, it's a little bit harder to get into the zone. And then when you start running, doing your run, competing, it gets a little bit hard, a little bit easier to get into the flow, the state of flow. Then maybe as you're running, there's an obstacle in your way. And so now you have to adapt to the obstacle, come back to the path and keep running. So as you do that, something to keep in mind. Whatever was the easiest thing for you to focus on, perhaps that's something you can come back to over time. So imagine if you compare how you felt before and how you felt after your mental fitness workout. Is that a state that would be beneficial for you to practice as you move throughout your day? Perhaps, especially when you're in the middle of a challenging interaction or about to begin a challenging task. How might it be helpful to shore up your mental and emotional resources with a little bit of a mental fitness training, just a few reps, and then go into your state of your tasks, your to-do list, perhaps the list that you parked before you came into the conversation. So feel free to answer in the chat if you like, or feel free to unmute and share. But I'd love to know, of this experience, of the things that you were focusing on, what is something that you feel like you might be able to practice in the rest of your day to help you get into a more focused, clear, and effective state?
I don't think we have access to the chat room. But I think just being able to like stop and breathe is important, and just, yeah.
I love that, Amelia. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and actually, Frances just shared the same thing in the chat here. She said, taking a pause to breathe. So yeah, definitely the breath. And if we can really notice the breath, really focus on the breath, that can be a really beneficial shift from being like here to being more here, so we can be more effective. Anyone else have some thoughts they'd like to share?
I find focusing on the sound of my breath is very grounding. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I'm standing up, so I really enjoy focusing on the feet. And I've never done the ankles, so that was new. I really enjoyed that. Thank you.
I'm so glad. Yeah, there's so many aspects of living in this physical body that we don't notice in the day to day. And so the invitation to get a little bit more curious about it, I think can be a real shift. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So what I've noticed for me is that there are certain moments in my day or my week or my month that get more charged up than others. And so those will drain my resources more. And it was actually happening that I would have I teach these 2-week courses, these leadership development courses that run for 2 weeks. And so at the end of the 2-week period, there's this mad dash of students turning in their last minute assignments. The assignments inevitably are going to get backed up. People are requesting extensions. It just gets more of a traffic jam. And I was not planning for that. And so I was going about my day to day, and then predictably once a month, or predictably every 2 weeks, twice a month, it would get really wild. And I would have made commitments that I had to cancel commitments. I'd feel terrible, or else it was a mess. And then one day the light bulb went off. I was like, this is totally predictable. This happens every single time, literally like clockwork. I can build this into my calendar, and I can preemptively charge up and then build time afterwards to charge back up, to recharge. So I would invite you to look at your calendar and see if there are any opportunities in there to build in a little bit of a buffer ahead of time, because you already know that this is going to suck up more resources, and maybe a little bit of a buffer at the end, because you already know you're going to want to recharge those a little bit more. So whatever that looks like for you, I would invite you to maybe consider just playing with the calendar, playing with the agenda, and see where you might have a little bit of a buffer. And this is certainly one that you can come back to. I'm going to go ahead and put this recording in the community that you now all have access to. You are officially trailblazers. You are the first in this series that I'm going to be offering all summer long. So yeah, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much. And I hope this was beneficial for you, for a little bit of a recharge, so you can have a little bit more energy and focus as you go about your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you. I hope to see you next time. And please share with a friend if you think it's helpful.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Everyone.
My pleasure. I appreciate you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.